All right, class, welcome to U.S. History. So just for starters, we're going to review a little bit what we talked about last time. You'll remember we wrapped up with the Revolutionary War, and the colonists just were really bummed out about not having that representation, right? And then we talked about the Articles of Confederation, which, government though, it's scary, so they had to limit it, right? Okay. So now we're sitting in the Constitutional Convention, and this is where the delegates are trying to figure out a new government, a new constitution, completely different from the Articles of Confederation. However, there are still those fears that the government's going to be too powerful and the people won't be represented like they're supposed to. So this is a big issue for them, and they want to make sure they're doing this right. So to do that, they proposed different plans for how the people would be represented. We're going to start by looking at the New Jersey plan. So if you look at your graphic organizer, in that first section, that first row, we're looking at the New Jersey plan. Okay. So to talk about this, we are going to look at document number 1. Okay. We're going to read through that and make sure you're paying attention, because I'm going to show you how we'll fill out this graphic organizer, and then you guys are going to be doing it on your own. So as I'm reading document number 1, I want you guys to be looking for the answers, okay? And just so you know, that last column, we're going to have to do a little guessing on that one. Okay, so the first document about the New Jersey plan says, the New Jersey plan essentially proposed a modified version of the Articles of Confederation. Though the plan added many additional powers, it opted to keep the structure of Congress relatively the same. It created a unicameral legislative body where each state was given an equal vote. Okay, let's back up a little bit. Who knows what I mean when I say unicameral?
One.
One what?
One, unit.
Yeah, so way to break down the word. So it's like one house. They're saying that in Congress they just have one house. You guys know our structure of government now, right? We've got those 2 houses. Kind of spoils the rest of the lesson, I know. But in Congress they have 2 houses, but when we're talking about a unicameral legislature, it just means one house. We have a bicameral one. So clearly the New Jersey plan didn't pan out, right? So let's look at our graphic organizer. Okay, so the first question, how many houses would be in the legislature? We just talked about this. What would our answer be?
1.
1. Good job. So in that first box, I'll write 1, and I might write unicameral. Okay. All right. And then in the next box, how would the number of representatives for each state be determined? That one's not necessarily as clear, but if we look back at the document, it says each state will be given an equal vote. So that's what we mean when we're asking how representation will be determined. Okay? So on that second box, we're gonna say, we'll just say it's equal for each state. All right? We all got that? Perfect. Okay, and that last box, who would support this plan? Large states, small states, or both? Why? Anyone have any ideas? Kiana.
Small states, because they have less people. So, a small state with 5 people in it would have the same amount of power as a big state with 100 people in it.
Perfect. Perfect. That was a phenomenal answer for an 8th grader. All right, perfect. Did that make sense? So we'll write down small states, and because it would give them more power for the amount of people they had. Right, just like that. Okay. All right. So moving on, now you guys are gonna have your own turn for this. You are going to be looking at some primary sources. We're gonna start with the Virginia Plan. And so that's your document 2. And you'll see there's 2 sections to it, okay? The first one is the original document. It's kind of difficult to read. I have included some vocabulary words for you, but that one's a little bit tricky. So if you want to challenge yourself and you want a more difficult route, go ahead and look at that one. But if that one scares you a little bit or you don't understand it, or sometimes it's easier to just comprehend things more if it's in slightly simpler English, I have a modified document for you right underneath it. They both say the same things, one's just easier to understand, okay? So what you're gonna do is what we just did with the New Jersey plan, and you're gonna answer those 3 questions. You can work in groups, and you can, as you're doing it, make sure you're drawing pictures and doing whatever you need to kind of understand it and fill out this graphic organizer. It doesn't just need to be like written answers. Sometimes it's easier to draw it out. But real fast, I almost forgot. With the New Jersey plan, I wanted to show you more how the representation is, kind of what it looks like. So if each of you were a state and each of these pens was one piece of representation, Kiana would get one, Brittany would get one, and Adam would get one. Okay? So that's what it looks like for New Jersey.
Is that the one we just did?
Yes, it is. So now let's see what this would look like for Virginia, for the Virginia plan. Questions? Do we know what we're doing? Okay, perfect. I will come around and make sure you're all doing well with the reading and help you understand.
So it's not the New Jersey plan, it's the one?
Oh man.
Or to organize a group.
Yeah.
Awesome.
If you want.
That would be great.
Okay. This is really hard. I think I'm gonna read the other one.
I like it. I like the hard one.
I like the easier one.
Me
You
too.
can read the easier one.
Maybe you can tell me what you learned in it, and I can tell you if you missed anything.
Cool.
From the hard one. Is that better? Yeah, that looks good. I like how you drew that one.
Thank you. So we would write.
So first we need to see if it's bicameral or unicameral, right? Let's see. Looks like it's bicameral.
Yeah, that's fine.
Wait. Oh yeah, I get it now.
Or right here. It
Bicameral.
says,
Yep.
yeah, right there.
Thank you. Bye.
Maybe we could because she said we can draw it.
I'm gonna draw 2 humps on a camel.
I'm gonna draw a house with a big 2 in it. So I remember there's 2 houses.
Ooh, I would do that too. That's a good one.
And then don't forget to also consider who would support the Virginia plan.
Oh yeah.
So and why that would be.
So if small states like the New Jersey plan.
Yes.
Do I have to work with them? Can I work by myself?
Oh, go ahead. You can work by
I don't
yourself.
have to work in a group?
Mhm.
Okay.
So you said the small states like the other one, so the big states probably like this one.
Yeah, because states with less people.
That makes sense.
All right. Have we finished up? Is everyone ready? Okay. All right. So, what did we find out? How many houses are in the Virginia Plan legislature?
2.
2. Good job, guys. Do you know the word for that? It was unicameral for one house. What is it for two houses?
Bicameral.
Yeah, good job, guys. All right. And then, how do they determine how many representatives each state has?
The population or
Mm-hmm. Yep, it's the population. It's based on population. So let's just let's see what that would look like with the pens again. So let's say we're basing our representation on how many siblings each of you has. So I know Kiana has 2, so she would get 2 pieces of representation, right? I know Brittany only has 1, so she would get 1 piece of representation. And then I know Adam, you have 3 siblings, so you would have 3 pieces of representation, right?
that's right.
So
Ah.
since you have the most siblings, you have the greatest vote in this class, because I mean you're speaking for them too, I guess. And I mean Brittany doesn't have as much say as you do. Kiana doesn't have as much say as you do, but she does have more say than Brittany does, right? So you really like this plan, right?
Oh yeah.
How does it make you feel, Brittany?
I don't think I'd like it because I wouldn't get to talk as much. And I want to talk as much as Adam gets to talk.
And you want more of that say, so you have more control, right?
Yeah, because he might overpower me.
It's true. It's true.
Even Kiana would overpower me.
Yeah.
With hers.
I would.
All right. So in that regard, do you think bigger states, smaller states, or both would prefer this plan?
Bigger.
Bigger states.
Bigger
like Adam,
states. Why?
because they have more siblings, so they'd have more power.
All right.
Than smaller states.
Yeah, it's all about that power. Okay. Now these are both great plans, but is this something that is going to get ratified? Like, will everyone in the United States want this to be part of the Constitution? If it's like just the Virginia plan, are small states going to be okay with that?
Probably not.
So are big states going to be okay with the New Jersey plan?
No.
So let's see what the compromise would be. Let's look at document 3. Again, I have the original document and a modified one. So do whichever one you like, answer those same questions. And these documents, this actually comes from the Constitution because this was ultimately what was adopted. Okay, so again, look for if it's a 1 or 2 house legislature, and how representation is determined, and who would support this. So, ready, break.
Do you want to work with us, Brittany, or no?
I might.
Okay. Well, I want to look at the easier one again.
Me too. It helped a lot.
Yeah.
I actually understood it.
Yeah, the other one's got some pretty weird words and stuff, so I like this easier one.
All right, how are we doing?
Good.
Perfect. Okay, so in the Connecticut Compromise, let's look at that first box. How many houses are in the legislature?
2?
Yep, good job. And then, how is representation determined? This one's a little trickier on this one. Go ahead, Brittany.
Is it sometimes the population and sometimes by just being a state?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's split by those 2 houses, right? Here, let's use that example again. If I can get all my representation back. Okay. So, for the Senate, which is the upper house, each of you would get 1 piece of representation. In our Constitution, it gives each state 2 senators. So these are your 2 senators. But since Kiana has 2 siblings, she'll get two more. Brittany will get 1, and Adam will get 3. Because that's 3. Okay, so again, Adam still ends up with enough representation for the population that he has, but you guys all have an equal say. Do you guys feel more comfortable with this one?
I guess it's better than just doing one or the other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, awesome. So, who ended up supporting this?
Enough people.
Was it small states, large states, both?
Mix of both.
Mix of both. Perfect. And it's because they all felt represented. And that wraps up our lesson.
Good job, Kat.